Holy moly, Nintendo Directs are finally back, baby. Can you believe how long it's been? It has been literally 84 years since the last Nintendo Direct. Seriously, it's actually been 531 days. It's been September 4th, 2019, in which we had a Nintendo Direct featuring Luigi's Mansion 3 and Pokemon Sword and Shield. And wow, that feels like eons ago now. But here we are again. There's one coming up tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific Time, 5 p.m. Eastern, and it's going to be 50 minutes. So again, this is a full-length proper Nintendo Direct. It's even longer than the last one. So guys, how hyped are you right now?
I'm incredibly hyped for this. The only expectation they gave us was Smash Ultimate, and already that's really exciting because there's a lot that they can cover in this, and to blow it out this big right at the 3D World is I think what a lot of people was expecting, but not quite to this level. I think a lot of people were expecting something more focused, like what we've been getting lately, like a partner showcase or Indie World or just Zelda for the upcoming anniversary, but this is very exciting.
Yeah, I'm floored. I mean, we did have that tease recently about a hiring for things like directs for like a camera operator, but that's a quick hiring process if that was for this. I mean, I didn't expect it this fast, and what a way to kind of come in and maybe take some of the PlayStation 5 momentum away, really. Like, maybe they kind of forced Nintendo's hand to do one of these again. Either way, I'm really excited. Maybe Excite Bike excited, but I don't think that's coming.
Is that a prediction spoiler?
No.
Yeah, so I am pretty darn hyped. It has been forever, as I said, since we've had one of these, and it's just nice to have something to look forward to again. I mean, I feel like if there was ever a sign that we're finally almost out of the pandemic, this is it. This is the sign, the signal that the pandemic is almost over, Nintendo Directs are back, the world's returning to normal, and yeah, I can't wait.
Nature is healing.
Exactly, bingo. Well, I guess we should just basically launch right into our predictions, right? We have a whole bunch of them ready to go. So in case you missed it, we are joined, of course, by Tris and Tom. I meant to mention that earlier, but they are here with me giving our predictions. Just real quick, what are your general expectations for the Direct? Like, how much are you expecting in a general sense in terms of like new game announcements or anything else?
Well, given that it's one of the longest Directs we've had in quite some time, this is like E3 level length
84
here.
years.
Yeah. I genuinely expect that this might be... especially if it's like along the lines of like the headlines that they tend to do, we're not gonna dwell on one game for like longer than at most 5 minutes.
Right.
So I suspect we're going to end up seeing a lot of games here. Probably a lot of third party as well, but I think there'll be a lot of games here that people might end up getting a little overwhelmed because it's been so long since we had this kind of format.
Do you agree, Tom?
I think maybe a little bit longer than 5 minutes, but probably get a lot of titles. We will get new Pokemon Snap in there. I think that'll eat up some time. We'll see if. Well, I guess I'm going to go into my predictions if
That's
that
fine.
keeps going. But yeah, general get a good mix of games in there, and yeah, a lot of them. But it's only first half of the year. I think we'll get one that's maybe second half. Nintendo's done that E3 before, where it's like we're focused on this year, but here are games way off in the future. We might get quick teases for those.
Huh, that's an interesting thought. You're right, Nintendo does tend to work that way, but I feel like they can't just stick to the first half of the year this time. We know almost nothing of Nintendo's first-party lineup now that Bowser's Fury is out, and beyond Pokemon Snap and some of the other like RPGs they're publishing. I'm not really expecting to see Bravely Default 2 here, or if we do, it'll be brief because previews are already out. We're playing the game for review. So yeah, I do think there will be at least a few big first-party announcements, particularly with this being a 50-minute Direct. Although, as Tris said, as you both said, there will be a lot of third-party games here too, and it is easy to forget that. It's not going to be 50 minutes of Nintendo first-party IP, as amazing as that might be. Anyways, all right, with that out of the way, let's get into our specific predictions. Tris, let's start us off here. What do you have coming up, or what do you think we might see here in the Nintendo Direct?
Well, the feature that I put up rather recently is probably very telling, but I think we're going to see Super Mario Party 2 soon this year, and I think this is the time to do it. I think even though they recently had advertisements for the original Super Mario Party, I think this is the time to announce one coming sometime later this year. Getting that announcement up before Mario's anniversary ends and Mario disappears at the end of March is probably a smart thing to do. And what better way to hype someone up for something after the pandemic for a party?
Do you have any specific expectations for this beyond, you had the whole video for it, but if you had to choose one thing to focus on, what do you think it might be?
I think they're probably going to make a bigger deal than they did with 3D Worlds initially about it having online capabilities. If it does. That's such a big focus, and maybe that's why it took so long to get announced, because they saw, hey, maybe we shouldn't release a couch multiplayer game without online right now.
That's a great point. If there were ever a time for an online Mario Party, a proper online Mario Party, now is it. I hope you're right, Tris. I would love to see a new Mario Party.
Real quick, would that tie into maybe Nintendo updating their network, like with all the stuff ending in March? And do you think there'd be more than 4 players at once?
Ooh, I don't think there'll be more than 4 players, but I could see, some sort of, as weird as it may sound, I could see some sort of demo for it that ends with everything else in March, so it's a quick little thing that you could check out. Just because with so many things ending in March, that would be perfect time to end something like that too.
Yeah, I don't see them completely overhauling Mario Party. I think they'll use Super Mario Party as a groundwork for the next one. Evolve it like Mario Party 2 did back in its day. But it would be amazing if they had it, like, if they did have a side mode perhaps with more people that could play, especially if they wanted to make it like streamer friendly, where you just have people hop into your games. They won't, it's Nintendo, but I'm just saying.
It's like, alright guys, 16 players, 50 turns, 50 hours, let's go.
Oh no.
Alright, Tom.
That's a charity stream.
What's your prediction, Tom? Your first prediction for us.
Okay, I'm going to elaborate on my Ring Fit prediction from whatever, around December, how many years ago that was. So I was thinking, are they going to do maybe a standalone Ring Fit game just to, for some of the people who beat it? I haven't beat it. I just got to World 16 the other day after 30 hours or so using the hardest difficulty. But I think it's going to be a Ring Fit, like, Drago's Quest. It's going to be like a prequel, your ring with young Drago, and maybe like a smaller game with a set of worlds, just for people who've already played it a lot. We still need Ring Fit. There's a lot of gyms are closed and stuff. I think it'd be a good call just to hope, not like a super elaborate thing, but just, a small update, new enemies and stuff. Yeah, just a fun update.
That's a good one, especially with momentum Ring Fit gained from the whole lockdown and pandemic over the past year. Like, there probably are a fair amount of people that have largely finished that game, or at least seen the primary story through, and they're probably eager for more content. So yeah, that'd be a good way to expand it. But do you think this would be a free update or a paid update?
Oh, I think this one would be a paid update.
Yeah.
But not a lot. Like under $20. Canadian,
okay. Yes, good point.
I could see that. I could totally see that with how popular Ring Fit got, and I think it surpassed their expectations, so they probably really want to ride that out for longer.
Yeah, and please release more music tracks for free.
Yes, that mode is so fun. I've taken to ending my Ring Fit sessions with playing the music game. I highly recommend it if you have the game.
I had to swap to that because of at first it's like, hey, I can start with it, but then you get to ultra advanced or whatever it is, and it's like, no, I'm just gonna pull muscles here.
Yeah, indeed. All right, well, I think, Tom, you had mentioned earlier about Nintendo kind of offering another online focused game with at least one of them ending soon, being Mario 35. To tie it in a little bit, my next prediction isn't actually directly related to it, but is directly related to Nintendo Switch Online. I think we will finally get Nintendo 64 games as part of the online service. They'll blow it out.
That was my next prediction.
Oh, yeah. I finally can take someone else's predictions that have my taken. So, yeah, we'll have games like Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, the big, some of the big ones, in the first wave. And, of course, they'll add more later on, like Smash Brothers 64, Mario Kart 64, all that. There'll be some third-party ones in there. Maybe we'll even get GoldenEye. I don't know. And, we'd have the original, speaking of Mario Party, we could get the original, at least Mario Party 2 and 3 in there. And what the great thing is, these could be the first truly online Mario Party games, thanks to the fact there's an infrastructure in place now where that could happen. So, yes, that is my prediction.
That would be great. And I do wonder, though, would this be like the SNES Online back in the September 2019 Direct, where right after it was announced, it basically came out I don't think it came out like same day, but it came out like within a few weeks.
Yeah.
So because I was gonna ask, if you're predicting Mario 64 will be part of the first wave, will that be before or after 3D All Stars goes off sale?
Oh wow. I think it'd be before. Yeah, I think it would be before. And I guess real quick, I should mention that I believe it is the 64's 25th anniversary this year. So the timing does make sense, unless they wanted to hold off specifically for its anniversary, month, which would be September in the States. I think July in Japan, which is just around the corner. Summer. Yeah. So timing might be the right time.
I thought you were going to say hold off for the 64th anniversary. I mean, go with the bang.
Oh my god. Yeah, then I actually could use an 84-year meme almost at that point. All right, Tris. Go ahead, Tom.
Just to elaborate on N64, I mean, there's a lot of smaller titles they could bring out. And do you think this might strengthen kind of the relationship with Microsoft in allowing some rare games on there? You did say GoldenEye. Could that pave the way for a few more things?
All right, Tris. What do you got coming up for us, prediction-wise?
I think there's going to be a Zelda segment of the Direct. So, not a whole Zelda 35th anniversary Direct like we had from Mario, but a segment of maybe 3 Zelda focuses in a row. And I think specifically for that, it'll be Skyward Sword HD or port for Switch or whatever it is for Skyward Sword, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity DLC, and finally a look at Breath of the Wild 2. One of the few things not coming early this year.
Yeah. First of all, Age of Calamity DLC is a great prediction. I think it's a matter of when, not if. And this could be a great time to showcase that. Do you have any specific expectations for the DLC?
There was that data mine a little while back of some NPCs having playable character indications. So I'm hoping some of the NPCs get upgraded, but I also just hope some other characters from Breath of the Wild, like Cass, for example, gets added just for some other additional wacky fun to really flesh out the playtime, because I know, despite being a Warriors game, this is one of the fastest games for a lot of people to 100% out of these kinds of games. It's definitely not as big as the original Hyrule Warriors. So.
Right. Good point. And then, of course, you mentioned Breath of the Wild 2. Wow, I mean, I would love if that's the case. The timing is a little weird because I wonder if they would hold off until E3 at this point. But then again, what even is E3 this year? So that may not even matter. I mean, they'll probably have another Nintendo Direct around that point. You know, whether or not it's tied to E3. But yeah, I mean, they very well could show it off now. So what are you kind of thinking they might do here for Breath of the Wild 2?
I think, since the only thing we've had was back at E3 2019, where it was more of a teaser trailer showing that, hey, we're working on it, I think we're finally going to see something from it, even if it's like the initial Breath of the Wild trailer. Just something that shows like gameplay and a better look at it that isn't a single cinematic.
I'm kind of thinking, so I very well think there could be a 35th anniversary segment here. But for whatever reason, I'm feeling like if they do show Breath of the Wild 2, it would be a tease. It'd be a small tease, and then in order to hype up, like, you know, whenever it gets its own Direct, or a big feature as part of the next Nintendo Direct. I'm just not sure if now's the time to really like fully blow it out, but maybe it could be. And even a new trailer wouldn't be fully blowing it out, and that would be hype as well. But I'm kind of thinking they could announce like the plans for the 35th without really even focusing on Breath of the Wild 2. It would be there, it would be mentioned. But instead, I think they might focus on the smaller things. So I think that could include, as you were saying, possibly Skyward Sword HD. Maybe they could be like, hey, Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD hitting the eShop today, right? Or
gosh, I hope.
Yep. Or it could be part of a collection, as you said, in which case I would hope that would include like Ocarina of Time and maybe another, kind of a long 3D World or 3D All Stars line. But the key thing I'm expecting to better tie it into something Tom was saying earlier about replacing a game that was going away, be Mario 35, Zelda 35. There has to be some kind of Nintendo Switch Online game to replace Mario 35. I mean, there doesn't have to be, but there has to be. and especially with Tetris 99 getting a little long in the tooth, it's still super fun. I still enjoy that game, but they need something fresh on there beyond possibly just N64, online games. So I think Zelda 35 could be it. It'd be something very different. It'd be like, it'd be in the style of Mario 35 in a top-down world. One of our fans had an awesome idea of like randomly interlinking dungeons. That could be a fun thing. I would hope that the overworld's there in some way. But yeah, that is kind of my hope. That we're getting a Zelda 35 here.
I would love that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Would it be based on Zelda 1 in 8-bit, you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
It couldn't be that hard to just have random parts of the map interlinking, or even just creating dungeons like Binding of Isaac does, which was based on Zelda 1, of course. I mean, it's I could see that being easy to do. I guess they don't really have to expand it past 35 players if they could at this point.
Yeah.
And that unfortunately is the much more likely thing than something like Zelda Maker, which I would love dearly, but it might be a bit too big for this time of year.
Yeah, I mean, I will admit that like picturing Zelda 35, like it sounds cool on paper, but I don't know how exactly it would work in practice.
Most rupees, of course, that's an easy one. Cutting down the most grass, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You can stop by the old man in the cave and maybe buy stuff from them, you know, at a proper store rather than randomizing it as in Mario. So we'll see. Well, real quick, actually, do we have any other expectations for Zelda as part of this 35th, as part of a potential 35th segment of the Direct? Because there were a lot of trademarks made recently for, I think, Phantom Hourglass, among other games. Do you think that means anything? Yeah. And is there anything else we could be...
I think... See, this is why I'm iffy on if it'll be a separate Direct or part of this, because the Mario 35th Anniversary Direct had a whole section on merchandise. Right. So they had the whole section showing there was like a bunch of toys coming, a bunch of crossover promotional stuff, including like a bunch of like t-shirts and pins, some of which I literally have here. Yeah. I think, so in comparison, I don't feel like Zelda's gonna have too many games shown, and if it's part of this Direct instead of a separate dedicated 35th anniversary one, I don't think we'll see like a whole merchandise section, but I do think a lot of the trademarks might be tied to merchandise for the anniversary, since it was a lot of the bigger games, or a lot of games in general, that they might want to hit upon during that.
You do bring up a good point. Like, there was a lot more to the Mario 35 Direct beyond just like the game announcements, and it doesn't feel like now would be the time for those. So I wonder if it's possible this is like a I mean, assuming it's here at all, I wonder if it's possible like it's a longer celebration rather, because I think it's pretty clear the Mario Direct didn't happen exactly as it was initially planned. Right. I feel like there were probably originally maybe perhaps even grander plans for it. So I do wonder if maybe this is something that they announce in stages. Like perhaps now could be like the initial like tease of it. You know, we get some games like, you know, Twilight Princess or Wind Waker at the least, for instance, and then they're like, but stay tuned for another, you know, for more announcements coming later this year about Zelda 35, and that could be a way how they could bring in, you know, Breath of the Wild 2 potentially again later on, right? So
yeah, I could see that actually.
We'll see. You never know. You never know with Nintendo.
I do have a few other grounded ones. I guess I'll go down my list a little bit here. There was a trademark in Taiwan a few days ago. I think it might have been over the weekend, for a title called The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. The Great Ace Attorney is it's a spin-off to the Ace Attorney games, you know, Phoenix Wright and all that, that's set very far in the past, several centuries earlier, but they were only ever released in Japan on the 3DS. And the trademark is for an international release on Switch, collecting both games together. And I think it's supposed to be on Switch, PS4, and PC. I think it would make a lot of sense to see that here, since it's been about 4 years since the last Ace Attorney, like new Ace Attorney game released. So to kind of have this together, and it would work on an international level, since these games were originally on the 3DS in Japan, they would have it in their Direct as well. We haven't seen anything from Ace Attorney in a few years, so I think this would be really exciting to get. Yeah. And I know that it might be weird to follow this up from Zelda, but Ace Attorney is one of my favorite video game series, and I wanted to make sure it got mentioned in here.
Nice. No objections. Yeah. All right. Any? Did you have another? You mentioned you had a list there, right? So yeah.
Yeah. The other grounded prediction I have here, actually, there's two worth specifically mentioning. Monster Hunter Rise, I think, will have some sort of segment on it, since that comes out next month. we know most things about it already. I already had a demo, but they might do something else showing off more of the monsters, maybe some crossover content. Like, hey, here's Zelda crossover content again, because they keep doing that with Monster Hunter.
Especially with the kind of like some of the Breath of the Wild comparisons we've had.
Yep.
Rise. It seems like, yeah, that'd be a fun crossover this time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot they could do there, and I think this would be a fun time to do it. The other is, I think we'll see a little segment for Animal Crossing New Horizons. So it'll probably be, we might see details on the Mario update coming in March.
Next month.
Probably on Mario Day. And we'll probably see a little tease of what's to come afterwards, since we're nearing the 1-year anniversary of the game. And I mean, they could do something closer to the 1-year anniversary of it. That's still like a month away. But if they wanted to do it in this direct, they could maybe tease there'll be a Zelda thing for it later on, or maybe some other update that comes in April being teased or something like that.
Yeah, that's actually a good one. I was going back and forth whether Animal Crossing might be here or not. On the one hand, like Animal Crossing usually does its own thing. You know, it has its own like little mini updates or yeah. So I wonder if they would just continue that. But then on the other hand, you know, with the Mario stuff and then the 1-year anniversary coming up, it might make sense to like broaden the demographic, you know, to people who aren't actively just following Animal Crossing stuff. So it might make sense to include it here because a lot of people, I imagine, kind of like myself, have fallen off Animal Crossing in this past year, and it might make sense to like find a way to, you know, to have this rehook them. It's like, hey, here's all the stuff we're adding to the game. Finally, Brewster's coming, baby. Finally, get your coffee shop. So, well, and you mentioned, since you mentioned a game we already know about coming here, or a couple games coming, you know, possibly being shown here. Do you think we'll see new Pokemon Snap here at all?
I don't actually think we'll see any Pokemon in this because I believe the Pokemon Company already said they have their own plans for the Pokemon anniversary next week, and they tend to do that separate from whatever Nintendo tends to do around this time.
Is it next week?
So, yeah, it's next Saturday. I think Pokemon Day is the 27th.
Okay.
So,
wow.
They're probably going to do something that Friday or somewhere around there. But they're not just going to sleep on Pokemon Day. They're going to do their own thing, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's no Pokemon at all this direct because it's being saved for their own thing later.
Got it.
They could tease at it though, like
yeah,
remember to stay tuned next week.
All right, I've got getting into some of my a little bit more out there predictions, but not too much. Although it hasn't been quite 84 years, it feels like it's been nearly that long since we've had a proper Kirby game on Switch. It's been nearly 3 years now, and I'm predicting we will see a new Kirby game here, and I specifically predict it's going to be our first proper 3D Kirby. By that I mean it'll be in the style of like 3D Land and 3D World, you know, Mario style, where it's you know, not fully 3D. It's not gonna be like open world or anything, but it will have like broader environments that are still largely linear, in which you have like a freedom of movement that we've never really had before. I'm picturing, you can almost picture it like, at least I'm picturing almost as like Kirby 64 with the far better graphics and actual like depth you can move around in. But Kirby 64 was already in 3D. It still just played like a 2D game. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking here, and it will continue the 4-player co-op tradition as it has now been a thing, particularly with, you know, the 3D World influence I mentioned, and it will have, of course, online.
I really hope so. I love the Kirby games, and you're right. It has been nearly 3 years since Kirby Star Allies, and sure, we've had some of the smaller titles since. We had Super Kirby Clash in 2019. We had Kirby Fighters 2 back in 2020. There has been something Kirby every year, whether big or small, so for the last several years at this point. So I think it makes a lot of sense to kind of even just show it off, even if it's not coming yet. But just to show it off as something coming later this year or teased more. But yeah, I think it's time for Kirby too.
All right. Heck yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I almost hope, though, it's one of the weird Kirby games coming out, something like Mass Attack. You know, like something unique, and not just a standard one. Like, I hope there's some twist on it that makes it really special.
Kirby 99. Kirby Ultra Mass Attack. It'd be complete chaos. Everyone's just sucking each other up, shooting each other out. It'd be amazing. Anyways, Triss, do you have any other predictions?
Is it time to get into Smash?
I mean, it's always a good time. We haven't talked about Smash yet.
No, it's been half an hour in
discussion.
discussion.
It was in the back of my mind.
Well, I want to raise the question, you guys. Do you think we could see a Mario character as DLC timed with Mario Day and the Mario anniversary coming in March at some point?
Anything's possible, but no.
Yeah.
I'm not quite seeing it. I think we have enough. I think there's enough Mario characters in the game, and I think I feel like they might have announced it during the 30th. Well, no, I mean Nintendo doesn't really care. I think they could have announced it during the 35th. Had it, were it going to be a thing. I mean, then I say this as one who also wants Geno.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you crush some Geno?
I don't really consider it's weird. But I don't really consider Geno a Mario character at this point. It's more a Square character than it is anything else. Yeah, I don't know. What are you thinking? Where are you going here, Triss?
I think they could. I don't think it's the most likely, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did, and I think it could be something fun. I don't know who it would be, but it'd be a welcome addition. I think there's something fun to do for, the big anniversary of their biggest IP.
Yeah. I mean that'd be cool. Yeah, it's just I feel like Nintendo I feel like Mario Day is more incidental than anything. So I don't know if they would announce a major Smash character just on that day. So, do we have any specific Smash character predictions? I do have one here from Chris, who unfortunately wasn't able to join us today because of the power issues happening in Texas right now due to the wild storm. But Chris specifically states that the next Smash fighter will be revealed at the Sakurai Presents Promise soon, and it will be Crash with About Time headed to Switch. I think now is a better time than ever.
I could totally see it. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's a great call. I mean, Crash makes sense to bring on. It's closest way as possible maybe to get to a Sony character in Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
And the timing that Chris suggested with, It's About Time coming to Switch makes a lot of sense.
It's about time, as the title says.
It is about time. Well, I'm gonna make a slightly different prediction. One I've never actually made before. I think.
Okay.
And I think and we're gonna continue actually the Chris motif here. But I believe we could actually get Chris or someone from a series in Smash Brothers. And by Chris, I mean Resident Evil Chris.
Yep.
I think we might
actually the Redfield?
I think we might actually get a Resident Evil character. And truthfully, I think it very well could be Leon if it were to be one rather than Chris. But I think Chris is possible. I don't know. I feel like Resident Evil is a major IP. It's one that we obviously don't have a character for the series yet. We've had spirits in the game, so there is like a small amount of precedence there. And I think the spirits were from during the first wave of DLC, so that doesn't preclude a character being added in the second wave. And yeah, I think there's a chance, particularly with it, being a Capcom character. I mean, actually, I'll even broaden my prediction a little bit. I think we'll get another Capcom character. if it's not Resident Evil, then it could be maybe Monster Hunter or something. So.
I had Monster Hunter as my prediction with Rise coming out next month. I think that would make a lot of sense to have, and we already have the Rathalos as a boss in the game, so we already have some level of Monster Hunter representation that it wouldn't be. I would imagine it's not that hard to get more, but I think that would be a great tie-in. Personally,
Sakurai's like just
Phoenix
crying now. Not that
hard. No, I mean it's not hard to get the license for that because they already have. I know game development is very difficult.
Finger snap.
Yeah.
So you don't. So to build on like Chris, you don't think it's going to be something like Simon, Belmont, and Richter situation where maybe you have a cutscene where Leon's running away from a boulder in a quick time sequence, and then Chris Redfield comes in and punches the boulder?
Maybe it could be the boulder that Charizard no longer uses in
there you go.
Yeah, that he had from Brawl.
That's a good tie right there. He could help him out.
Exactly. Love it. Do you think there's anything else that could have a Smash related, or would it just be a character and stage, obviously?
That's tricky because they told us a little while back. I forget when I think it was with Terry, where the last update where it was more than just a character. I think that was when they added they added some other small mode at that point. I think I could be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure they said they weren't going to be adding more with these DLCs at that point. It was just going to be the DLC characters and what comes with them. Though we say that, but what was it, last summer where they added small battlefield?
Yeah, such a random
so thing. They could.
So are you predicting smaller Battlefield? Even smaller Battlefield.
Maybe we really will get a small Battlefield variant for every stage. I don't know.
It would be, I believe they did say something along the lines of like there wouldn't be any major new like modes added to the game or features, something to that effect. But I feel like it's also been a long time since they said that. So I think anything is technically possible. If I had to choose, like, I would still hope for a proper tag team mode added to the game. You choose two characters, swap them in and out of will, kind of like how Pokemon Trainer worked, and I think that could be amazing. So, and probably a relatively, I say it as one who's not a developer, but a relatively easy mode to add. All right, let's move on to other predictions here. Go ahead.
I have a quick one to build on the Zelda predictions just quickly. Now with Mario, there's a lot of stuff we didn't see coming, like, the actual Mario Kart Live. I think with Zelda, we were talking about this recently about the Zelda show. Maybe something neat to tie in, just a tease at an actual Zelda series during this direct. Like something else outside of standard gaming that we expect for Zelda in the anniversary.
That would be amazing. The only hang-up I have is assuming it's a Netflix or some other, like, streaming platform. Like, I wonder if they would want to announce it themselves, but on the other hand, it's like, no, you want to get this out in front of, like, a Nintendo crowd, right? And then it'll just blow up from there. That'd be incredible.
Hear me out.
Yeah.
But hear me out. They do it on the Nintendo Direct because they're also announcing that streaming service will now be available on the Nintendo Switch.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
Good tie right there.
Great point, man. Finally, it took a Zelda series to get Netflix on Switch. All right. I think I've got another prediction here.
Are we up to the wild ones?
A little bit more. These are broadening slightly, but. I am predicting. Actually, I'm going to base it off another Chris's prediction. So Chris predicts there will be one final Mario project announced to conclude the anniversary. A new Mario Party or sports game is possible, but I predict, in their words, this will be Galaxy 2, ending with a bang. So, oh man, I would love Galaxy 2. That'd be great. It's so weird that wasn't part of the All-Stars collection, and it makes me hesitant that they would even bother, because I feel like there might have been some reason why not, and it's probably the Wii Remote controls. Just not working as well with Yoshi being a major factor of the game. But hey, Chris, I hope you're right. But I'm going to use that to launch into my prediction that we've been saying this for a little while. We're finally going to see another Mario sports game, and I think it'd be Mario Golf.
Yep. I totally think so.
Motion controls, you can swing if you want to. You don't have to, it won't be required, but yeah, it's time.
Is it Mario Golf 4 at this point?
We've had quite a few Mario Golf games. I think we're well beyond 4 this time. It might be up to like 6.
Well, just spell it F-O-R-E.
Hey, there we go. It's time.
I like it.
I love it. All right, who's got another prediction for me?
Do you think we'll see the long time rumored 2D Metroid? So, not Prime 4, but the other Metroid that's been heavily rumored for quite some time now.
That's a great point. I mean, it's possible. It's certainly likely. It's as likely now as any other point, I think. Because they are good. I mean, the thing is, they are going to have at least one or two like big announcements here. And a 2D Metroid, beyond I think Smash, and a 2D Metroid would do the trick. So like presumably from the same developer who made Samus Returns. Yeah, I'm in. I hope so.
Now, is this like a new 2D Metroid, or do you think it'd be more likely just to do a remake of Metroid Fusion with a bit like an hour or so more of content after the end of that?
I think the rumors are for like a brand new 2D Metroid, but I could absolutely see some level of a remake, kind of like Metroid Samus Returns was.
Right. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what approach they would take. But at the same time, it sounded like Triss kind of downplayed the chances of Metroid Prime 4 here. Do we think there's a chance we see anything of Metroid Prime 4?
Not yet. I don't think so.
Not with Breath of the Wild 2 coming out. I mean, unless Retro has made huge strides in Metroid Prime 4 that in the 2 years or so, I mean, it still feels too soon, and it's not needed. I mean, only if there's some sort of 4K Switch tease, would I see a Metroid Prime 4 tease?
I am so glad you mentioned that, Tom, because I have another prediction here from Chris. Chris had some good ones here. Going all into this one, the Switch Pro will finally be revealed, plus it'll be marketed alongside Zelda's Anniversary as a third and final piece of the Switch Triforce, along with the other two models. So, yeah, do we think there's a chance we could see a Switch Pro? Keep in mind, the 4th anniversary of the Switch is literally just around the corner, being March 3rd, so...
We could. I almost feel like a Direct isn't when they would announce new hardware like that, just because I think it would need its own focused, separate thing. I would love to see that, because I think that would be a great way to get all eyes on it. But I almost feel like that would happen after the fiscal year ends in March, so it would be something that we'd see closer to, the quote-unquote E3 time.
Right. I think I agree with you. As much as I would love to see a Switch Pro, I mean, I already predicted it in our 2021 predictions that it would happen this year, or at least, be announced perhaps. I think it's a little too early perhaps, and I agree that they wouldn't do it as part of a general Nintendo Direct, because the main concern would be, I think, a Switch Pro would just dominate the news. Like, that would just overshadow everything else, and that isn't what Nintendo wants to do. Their focus now is on their game lineup coming out this year, and I don't think they want to overshadow that. And then they would announce the Switch Pro down the line once we actually know the game lineup, and then announce how it enhances those games if it does.
Yeah. I don't think it would be that good marketing-wise to announce a Switch Pro days after the Mario Switch just released.
Yeah, that's also a great point. I didn't even think about that. Fantastic point. Yeah, I mean, right, it wouldn't make sense to compete with yourself, really.
Just call it the Mario Switch X then, and you got no problems. How many times at E3 has it been like, will Nintendo release a new DS? It's like, no, we got this DS for now. And then 2 weeks later, it's like, boom, new DS.
Exactly.
Yep.
So they're gonna suck up every sale they can out of Mario Switch, and then the moment momentum stops, it's like, bam, new Switch. Here you go.
Probably, yeah.
All right. Any other predictions anyone has?
I have a small prediction,
Good.
kind of an indie-like prediction, although kind of like a mega indie. We haven't heard anything on Platonic's new game yet. I think, obviously they are making a new game. They had their publishing thing last week. Sometimes people hold out their announcements to be with like a bigger group of announcements, like a Direct. I'm going to predict Platonic's next effort is a Kart Racer with bosses. That's my prediction, because I want that game.
Wait, with bosses, do you mean like boss characters, or you race bosses?
You race bosses like Diddy Kong Racing. That's my prediction. It's about time we had another experience like that.
You know what? I actually love that idea. That would probably be a smart way to reuse some of the assets they already have. You can finally make use of like the huge worlds from the first Yooka-Laylee, and like just put like a kart track through them, and that'd be amazing. I'd be so down.
That sounds fun.
It could even be minecart like levels where it's like just everyone on different tracks and jumping around each other.
That'd be so cool. I reminded a little bit of Kirby Air Ride, actually, where it had the rail segments you could hop between them, and that worked out great as part of the race. So, oh man, please make this happen, Platonic. Other predictions? Anything else?
Here's a question to pose, which is kind of a prediction. So it's Sonic's 30th anniversary this year, and we know that Sonic has a history of having console exclusives for new games. Not always, but many times. Do we think that we could have a brand new Sonic game finally announced as a Switch exclusive, timed exclusive, or something big for Sonic announced here? And maybe that's why we haven't seen it so far. Could you imagine
if it's actually a proper Sonic and Mario crossover to celebrate both their anniversaries?
Oh, that would be great.
Star Sonics. I mean, anything's possible. I don't know. I just don't know. I would love it though. I would love if they announced some kind of like Switch exclusive, or any kind of new Sonic. It doesn't have to be Switch exclusive, but a Switch exclusive would be fun. And yeah, it wasn't all that long ago when we had multiple exclusive Sonic games on Nintendo platforms from Sega, especially during the Wii era, where we had Sonic the Ring game, and then
Sonic Secret Rings, Sonic and the Black Knight.
I forgot about Black Knight. That's right. Dang.
Yeah, Sonic Colors, Sonic Lost Worlds. Before that went to PC. Like, there's been a lot of Sonic games that have been exclusive to Nintendo for at least at the time exclusive.
You know, speaking of Nintendo exclusive Sonic games, it was just the 10th anniversary of Sonic Colors a few months ago. What did they announce an HD remake of that game for Nintendo Switch?
Speaking of anything could happen for Sonic, it made me think Sonic and Rabbids, which made me remind me of the recent Mario and Rabbids social media change that went back. Now, sometimes when there is smoke, there is fire. Do you think we'll see a new Mario and Rabbids during this Direct?
We could.
That is a great question. Yeah, I think we definitely could. I feel like something is absolutely happening, and the only question is when. And I think when is this year. I just don't know when. I just don't know precisely when. But it
while the first one was a big E3 reveal, that was very much more of Miyamoto walks in on the Ubisoft show to say, look what we're doing. We don't have that level of surprise anymore because it's a sequel to one we've already had.
Yeah.
And with the ambiguity and uncertainties with E3 this year, it seems like this Direct is going to be a bigger one in general to finally get a nice big blowout. So we could get announcements that maybe normally would have been kept to E3, even last year's E3 potentially. I think a Mario & Rabbids sequel could be something that we can see here as one of the Mario surprises that Chris mentioned, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is, in fact, a Mario surprise. It very well could be that. I mean, I think there could be two. I think that would be the mainline Mario surprise, if you want to call it that. That's the closest we get to a mainline Mario game in this. It's particularly with Bowser's Fury just coming out. We're not getting a new Ozzy 2 announcement here. We're not getting, So we're getting spin-offs at best. And then I think also, you know, there could be like a sports title or Mario Party mentioned there as well, as we already touched on. So yeah, I think there will absolutely be at least one thing Mario here.
Yeah.
I'm hoping there's even more. But nothing.
It would be weird if not.
It would be weird. Well, they are. I mean, not would it? They're killing Mario next month, so.
Well, yeah, but not even looking at the Mario stuff coming to Animal Crossing. Like there has to be some level of Mario here.
That's a good point. All right, I've got another prediction here, everyone. So, I'm predicting another series that we haven't seen in 84 years, being FZero S.
Oh man,
we've had FZero X. It's FZero S. The S stands for Switch or Speed. You can stand for whatever you want, but I believe there will be a brand new a Switch-based mechanic in this game, in which you will now have like intertwining track designs where like they can spiral around each other, like where you have two tracks like twirling around each other, and you can swap between them at the tap of a button. So you just hop from one to the other. It's almost like a jump button, I suppose. You're switching your magnetic field. The whole game is based on, I think, magnetics, as I recall. You switch from one to the other. You can go to the other track, and it could really lead to some fun, like kind of like wild situations as you're like frantically switching tracks, especially if you like just smash into someone like on the other track by just dropping in on them. So yeah, there could be, and they could go wild with this. There could be segments in which like there's a track above and below you, so you can like swap between the ceiling and the floor. And before like they diverge into different directions, there will be a big online focus. I think they could finally bring back the death race from FZero X, in which the goal is just to kill everyone, except now this will be a big Nintendo Switch Online feature. So now you're trying to kill each other online. So yeah, I'm predicting. So this will be Nintendo's like one more thing. Like we're gonna think the Direct is over, then be like, hold on guys, there's one more thing. FZero S.
So it'd be a bit like VVVVVV with the flip mechanic, but at 1,000 miles an hour and a Goomba stomp.
Exactly.
Goomba stomp.
I think that could work. And if you have the mode where it's like a death race, which is basically like a battle royale,
right?
You can have the track slowly contract and be smaller to get around, like instead of just going around forever, like apart. Like if it's a giant circle track, just make it smaller and smaller and smaller. So you definitely will have some overlap with each other. Or just running out of boost power, and so eventually you're super weak.
That's a good one. Or I was thinking, instead of tracking smaller, maybe parts of the track can just drop away, and you have to use jumps then start clearing the gap, and those jumps get longer and longer. So it gets harder and harder to actually like.
This is starting to sound like an F-Zero 99 kind of game.
Oh, darn right. That one doesn't happen one way or the other.
All right. Well, I guess to tie into racing, I do have an honorable mention on my list here, because not 4 minutes after the Direct was announced, Mario Kart 9 started trending on both Twitter and Facebook. So I want to just bring up the fact that a lot of people really want to see a new Mario Kart game. And as a huge Mario Kart fan myself, I would love it. I don't think this is when we're going to see one, because we just had Mario Kart Live Home Circuit. And Mario Kart Live Home Circuit and Mario Kart Tour, neither one of those affect the development of a mainline Mario Kart game. But I think right now their marketing is focused more on those.
Yeah,
So.
the weird thing is, right now there are essentially 3 active Mario Kart games. You have Mario Kart Deluxe, who just keeps, even though there hasn't been any updates to it in a while, it still just sells wild every time we see those sales numbers. Like, it's doing gangbuster numbers. Then we have Mario Kart Home Circuit, as you mentioned, and Mario Kart Tour. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they're working on one. I'm absolutely sure Mario Kart 9's in the works. And to be fair, there has to be some kind of, like, they can't always predict that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is going to sell forever. So at some point they're going to have to release a sequel, whether or not it's still selling. But I still think it still might just be a little bit too soon. I think there's a good chance we'll see it within the next couple of years, but I'm just not feeling it right now. Particularly with how many games they have that are active and doing pretty well, it seems. So but yeah, hey, I take it. And one way to work around the overlapping issue is you make it different. Make Mario Kart 9 different from Mario Kart Deluxe. And how do you do that? By bringing back Double Dash, darn it! Exactly! Bring back the Double Dash mechanics. I was just over at my sister's a week or so ago, and I brought Double Dash over with me, and her daughters, my nieces, had never played Double Dash before. They love Mario Kart games in general. They love Mario Kart Wii, they love Mario Kart 8. They were obsessed with Double Dash. I've never seen them like this obsessed with a game like this, and they were playing it overall. Like, it looks, it doesn't look bad, but it's clearly dated. But that didn't matter. Like, the game was just so fun, having these different mechanics that we haven't really seen since, aside from a couple that came back in Tour. So yeah, I think that's how you do it. You put focus back on co-op, or just do something different in general with Mario Kart, and that could make it stand on its own apart from Mario Kart 8.
I think so. I think that would be great.
All for that. Even a remaster of it, I'd take it. But Mario Kart 9, it's almost like you'd have to wait for a new Switch. Switch Pro. I could see that being an announcement they were tied in with, because you have the problem, almost like Grand Theft Auto 5 just selling more and more and more, that you're never going to get a new Grand Theft Auto. It's like kind of the same for Mario Kart, and those two series have sold a lot of copies over the years if you look at them, especially like on the Wii.
Good point.
Definitely.
So, there is one more game that we haven't mentioned at all yet, I don't believe, unless I missed it, and that is Bayonetta 3. Do we think there's a chance to see it? The developer recently said, put it out of your mind. Like, forget about this game even existing. Do you think that was just like a smokescreen to hide this like immediate announcement coming up, or re-reveal, if you will? Or do you think, no, we're not seeing it for a while?
I think we might see something about it this year, but I don't feel like this Direct is it. Now, it's entirely possible when Kamiya made those statements, he didn't know when the Direct was going to happen at that point. Like, maybe he just wasn't sure the certainties of when it was going to happen. It just knew it was going to happen at some point, but I don't think it'll be here. I think it could be seen later before the end of the year, but but by his phrasing, it didn't sound like they wanted to show it yet, but they wanted to sometime this year. So
it could be that, it's always possible it's a shadow drop title. And that's just why we haven't heard anything at all. It's like, guys, you know what? People are going to buy this. Let's just shadow drop it one day. But his comments from a regular developer seem like someone that would be, this game's coming out second half of the year. Please don't bug me. I'm tired of this. Leave me alone. Second half, wait. But with Kamiya, he does seem like a guy who blocks people a bit easily on Twitter, for instance, normally. So he might have less tolerance for that sort of thing, even if it's coming sooner.
All right. Well, I have spent all my predictions. Do we have any others, or are we winding down here?
Literally the only other thing I have written down is that we'll probably see something from the SMT series with Atlas. So, because SMT5 was in the first partner showcase for some time this year. SMT3 Nocturne came out in Japan already, and that's probably gonna come over internationally sometime soon. So those might be here, but I don't have much to say on them other than, hey, we'll probably see them.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and I think, what is it, the Donkey Kong 40th anniversary too this year?
That's true.
So I think that's more of a second half of the year thing if it does happen. You don't want to muddle too many anniversaries together.
I mean, I did predict in I think I did predict in our 2021 predictions that we could see like a was it Donkey Kong 99, or did I dismiss that? I don't remember. No, I didn't. I predicted a remake of the game. That'd be amazing. I want a full remake of the original Donkey Kong, like HD visuals. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I think that might come later too. So yeah, sounds like we're pretty much out of predictions here. So just to recap, how are you guys feeling in general about this direct? What is your hype level at?
Very.
Tom.
Oh, I don't know. Is that a word?
If Falcon punching were a word, that's how excited I am right now. It feels like this truly is something big. Like Nintendo is like, it kind of feels like a statement. Like, here we are. I feel like if Nintendo knows the amount of weight on their shoulders right now by announcing a full-size direct. That doesn't, now granted, that doesn't mean anything. They know it doesn't mean they'll follow through on it. But I do think there'll be some big announcements here in order to, like, because this is the return of a Nintendo Direct. We haven't had one in a year and a half. I think they are gonna kind of blow the doors off a little bit here because we don't know what's coming beyond like a handful of games. So it's time for us to find out what some of those are. Of course, what complicates things a little bit is the general summer timing with E3 or whatever or Nintendo's event during that time. But they want to hold off some announcements for then as well. So I'm just really curious to see how things shake out here. We could find out more about the existing games we do know about, like Breath of the Wild 2 or Metroid Prime 4, but I think those would probably come a little bit later. And we find out more about smaller titles here that wouldn't necessarily fit at E3. I say smaller in quotes. Like, I think, like if they actually announced an F-Zero Switch here, F-Zero game, that's huge. But, the sad thing is that is appealing to a niche demographic largely, right? So, a big niche, a seemingly big niche, but it's not all that big.
What am I going to do for the thumbnails if that happens?
I don't know. It's going to throw everything off, right? We'll have to figure it out. That's what's so exciting about this. It's seemingly uncharted territory here, hopefully. That's what's fun. It's been so long since we've had a proper Nintendo Direct. I can't wait. Anyways, everyone, with that is all our predictions. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed our predictions, make sure you consider clicking that subscribe button in the middle right there, as well as checking out some of the other video links on the right. Plus, we'd love to hear what you are expecting from the Nintendo Direct. What's your general excitement level at? What are your hopes and dreams for it? Let us know by posting in the comments below. And of course, stay tuned to Game This Way for tons more about the Nintendo Direct, and we should have a lot of coverage of it, so stay tuned. With that, everyone, we'll catch you later.